Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. My name is Sam Inglot. I'm the Executive Director at Progress Michigan. So here we are, 100 days into a Trump presidency, and countless daily examples, we'll probably get a few more even today, of how far we've fallen as a state and a nation under Trump's early days of power. Today, we are joined by organizations representing working people, immigrant communities, parents, environmental stewards, and folks across Michigan. But we're not alone. Day in and day out, dozens of organizations and thousands of activists are working tirelessly to fight for a better future, a future that the Trump administration is actively eroding. While those folks may not be here today, we know they're in the streets, they're in the halls of power, and they're in our neighborhoods and our state working to right this administration's wrongs. Folks here today, we fight for our communities. We fight to make their voices heard. And we are here to do that again today. In a very short period of time, we have seen unprecedented attacks on freedom of speech and the press, the checks and balances of government and our civil rights, all while empowering corporate greed to mark the trajectory of the country. In Michigan, the Trump administration has shut down 3 Planned Parenthood clinics, eliminating reproductive health care access in rural communities. He's targeted the LGBTQ+ community by eroding their civil rights. And he's worked to dismantle the Department of Education, putting honest and accessible public education at risk. We're going to hear from a number of folks today who represent these communities that are under siege. There is no corner of this state or this country that is untouched by the chaos and pain caused by the Trump administration. We will hear from those representatives today and then open it up for any questions. I'm very proud to stand here with everybody, folks that are working hard every single day to right the wrongs of this administration and stand up for their communities. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Bob Thompson with the Michigan Farmers Union.
Well, thanks, Sam. Hello, everyone. Again, my name's Bob Thompson. My family and I own and operate a 500-acre centennial farm located in central Michigan, where we raise traditional crops, cash crops, hay, corn, wheat, oats, and soybeans. As president of the Michigan Farmers Union, I welcome the opportunity to be included in today's event. Our membership, which includes a multitude of small and mid-sized independent progressive family farms, both rural and urban, know all too well the impact that politics have on our ability to produce food. Our farmers feed Michigan and they feed America. And instead of backing them up, President Trump has turned his back on them. His reckless trade policies and chaotic tariffs have hit small farmers hard, drying up export markets, sowing uncertainty, and leaving farmers to absorb the losses. President Trump has slashed funding to critical support programs that rural communities rely on. For example, the National Weather Service, which helps farmers prepare for floods, droughts, and storms. Without this tool to help farmers make critical decisions, such as when to plant or harvest, it puts our very livelihoods at increased risk. Michigan State University, a land-grant premier university, has lost and continues to face uncertainty under President Trump's funding threats. This jeopardizes agricultural innovation, critical plant development research programs, and training for the next generation of Michigan's farmers. The bottom line is this: when you undercut rural infrastructure, you're not just hurting farmers, you're hurting entire communities. With his actions, President Trump is pushing our communities closer and closer to crisis. We need leaders who understand that rural America is not just a photo op. It's the beating heart of this nation and of this state, and it deserves better than we're getting. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you, Bob. Up next, we're going to hear from Cindy Gamboa with Mi Poder.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you all for being here. My name is Cindy Gamboa. I am the proud executive director of Mi Poder, and I'm here to give voice to the voiceless in our community. the immigrant community that is currently under attack. In addition to the budget cuts that put farmers at risk, President Trump is also expanding ICE operations, and that has forced many people, including farm workers and everyday workers, into the shadows, and really thinking about how that's going to impact our food system and our everyday lives. Michigan is home to over 700,000 immigrants, including thousands of mixed status families who live in fear of being separated by ICE every day. People are scared to leave their homes, to attend church, take their own kids to school, all because of fear of potential deportation and detention. My hometown in Metro Detroit has become a hotspot for aggressive ICE actions. Their calculated attempts to be able to say that we're the villains in the story. They are trying to divide and conquer our communities, sowing distrust and trying to dehumanize entire communities. Between January and March, we've seen over 200 people detained at the Ambassador Bridge at the Detroit-Windsor border. More than 90% of these detentions were resulting from just people making the wrong turns or following GPS instructions. These detentions often involve families and children who are being housed in facilities that are not equipped to handle long-term stays. They're not listed in any ICE detention tracker as they claim to be saying, and they're being run. They're hiding people to make sure that people don't have legal counsel and their families can't find them. What does this tell us about what our government is doing behind closed doors? The Trump policies are leading to expedited deportations, limited access to legal representation for detainees, and undermining the fundamental principles of due process. This should alarm everyone, whether you were born here or not. We need to advocate for immigration policies that are humane, just, and guarantee the right to fair treatment and legal hearings when their freedoms are at risk. Michigan knows better. Michigan stands as a testament to the resilience of immigrant communities. We are stronger when we protect the most vulnerable, not scapegoat them. And we are ready to continue fighting for a community where everyone has a place. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean McBrady, and I'm the Michigan Director for Clean Water Action. We're an environmental advocacy organization with over 135,000 members across Michigan. So glad to be here today in solidarity with everybody speaking about these devastating issues caused in the first 100 days of the Trump administration. Now, as we talk about the environment here in Michigan, obviously the state surrounded by the Great Lakes, we have so much to lose and so much at risk from irresponsible environmental policy. And in his first 100 days, President Trump has rolled back over 30 federal environmental protections, favoring big polluters over the health and safety of all of our communities. Instead of investing in renewable energy solutions to the climate crisis, the Trump administration has fast-tracked fossil fuel projects, sidelining solar and wind initiatives in favor of his big fossil fuel donors. Trump declared a so-called energy emergency, this in an era when we're producing more domestic oil and gas than we have at any other time in our nation's history. His energy emergency is explicitly to expedite approval processes for oil and gas projects, again as a payback to his campaign donors, reducing environmental review times from a period of years to often a period of just days. This move has made the way for corporations to bypass essential safety checks, putting both our environment and our public health at risk. These rollbacks of environmental protections disproportionately affect Black, Latino, Indigenous, and low-income communities across our state, exacerbating existing health disparities. In Michigan, we rely on the Great Lakes, and the Clean Water Act has been a cornerstone of environmental federal law to protect our Great Lakes over the years. The Trump administration is planning to roll back protections for over half of the wetlands in Michigan. These wetlands are like the kidneys to the Great Lakes ecosystem. They keep our water clean. People in this state deserve to have safe, clean, affordable drinking water, and the budget cuts that the Trump administration has proposed and that they've illegally carried out through Elon Musk's Doge operation have already impacted Michigan communities. The money going into these communities is to remove lead service lines to make sure that our children are not drinking lead-tainted water as they have in communities across our state and across our country for far too long. This money is going to make sure that families have affordable drinking water. Over the last 40 years, we've seen rapid disinvestment in drinking water at the federal level, to the point where we've seen 70% fewer federal funds coming into our state to address drinking water than we did in the 1970s right now. With declining state investments, that means that individual ratepayers are left footing the bill for infrastructure updates that residential bills were never meant to cover. We did have federal money coming in the last administration to help folks be able to afford those increasing bills, and now that money has been cut as well. What President Trump has done is nothing short of increasing environmental devastation across our state. One example of this is the Line 5 pipeline running under the Straits of Mackinac. This is a 70-year-old Canadian fossil fuel pipeline that has already spilled over 1 million gallons of oil into the Great Lakes. Several indigenous communities, in fact, all 6 indigenous communities that were participating as consulting agencies in the Army Corps' environmental impact statement process on Enbridge building an oil tunnel under the Great Lakes, have backed out of that process and withdrew from consultation because what the indigenous communities that have been here from time immemorial all the way through today and have treaty rights in the Straits were telling the Army Corps was not being considered. The Army Corps refused to look at spill risks and climate impacts under the Trump administration. Despite the risks and the alarms about the potential for a catastrophic spill that would devastate our Great Lakes, the Trump administration is now in the process of fast-tracking an oil tunnel underneath the Straits of Mackinac, bypassing any environmental assessments. What we need now more than ever is for our state to step up to protect its water resources and to protect our air quality from corporate polluters. These are the same corporate polluters that President Trump has spent his first 100 days enabling. What we need now is for lawmakers to oppose federal actions that compromise public health and environmental protections. And we need support for clean, renewable energy and reducing our reliance on fossil fuels. When we build wind and solar projects, we create local jobs here in Michigan throughout the entire process. We need the elevation of community voices who are standing up and asking, demanding affordable, safe, clean drinking water. Thank you all.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Derek Dobies. I'm the Chief of Staff of the Michigan AFL-CIO. Collectively, we represent nearly 50 different affiliated unions, 1,000 different locals across the state, representing 1 million members and their families across the state of Michigan. Quite frankly, Trump is coming after unions. He's coming after Michigan workers. The value of a union is that collective bargaining agreement, which guarantees job security. So if you are a union member out there, Trump is coming for your union. He's coming for your contract. And most emphatically, he is coming for your job in that sense of job security. This past Monday, April 28th, we observed Workers' Memorial Day. It's a solemn reminder of the countless workers who have lost their lives on the job. We do it every year. And for more than 5 decades, Americans have come together on this day to honor those sacrifices and commit not only to job security, but safer workplaces. 55 years ago, on April 28th in 1970, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA, went into effect, promising every worker the right to a safe job. Since OSHA's creation, workplace deaths have dropped nearly 70%. while the workforce has doubled. That's proof that strong protections save lives. But today, the right to a safe job, to return home after work, is at threat. The Trump administration's relentless attacks on workplace safety standards reflect a dangerous hatred for any check on corporate greed, even when those checks are designed to protect the American worker. This administration has lied to workers about who they really serve. Despite their rhetoric about helping everyday Americans, their actions over the past 100 days have made it clear that their loyalty lies to corporate special interests, not to working families. Trump has dismantled he's done some crazy shit. He's dismantled the National Firefighter Registry for Cancer, suspended the Coal Workers Health Surveillance Program, gutted the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, the actual entity that actually researches this in a nonpartisan way and recommends safety standards that are then adopted into OSHA. Instead of weakening OSHA, we should be strengthening it. We should be dedicating more resources to holding employers accountable and ensuring that every worker, especially Black, Latino, and immigrant workers who are killed on the job at disproportionately high rates, have the protections that they deserve. We cannot afford to go backwards. We cannot return to an era where workplace injuries and deaths were treated as just the cost of doing business. And tomorrow is May Day. It's an International Workers' Day, a celebration of the hard-fought victories of the labor movement internationally, and a reminder of the work that is still ahead of us. And as we honor the struggles and achievements of working people, we have to continue to call out the administration's continued attacks on workers and workers' rights. Trump's executive orders are aimed at stripping collective bargaining rights from nearly 1 million federal employees, have sparked legal battles, protests, widespread opposition from labor unions and advocates and workers, and we proudly at the Michigan AFL-CIO stand alongside them. We call on Michigan lawmakers to do what they can to push back, to stand up for Michigan workers, to protect workers' rights, to protect our rights, and to ensure that our voices are heard and not drowned out by corporate influence. And we call on Michiganders, too, to make their voices heard. Because in Michigan, we built the middle class, unions built the middle class. We believe in unions here, we believe in protecting our workers, and we also know the power when we work together and stand in solidarity. So at a time when so many voices are trying to divide us, let's remember that standing up for workers and unions is something that we all have in common.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Hira Khan, and I am the State Director for Emgage Action Michigan. Emgage Action serves the Muslim community in building a pluralistic democracy that is representative of all Americans. These past 100 days have been very difficult. We've witnessed executive orders and policies that have instilled fear and uncertainty in Muslim communities and neighboring communities alike, through travel bans, attacks on voting rights, free speech, and many other civil liberties. The reinstatement of the travel ban targeting several Muslim-majority countries has led to family separations and heightened anxiety amongst our Muslim neighbors. Many community members are fearful of traveling abroad, concerned that they may not be able to return home. Additionally, increased ICE presence has resulted in numerous reports of detentions and deportations affecting the Muslim communities around the state and country, including individuals with legal immigration status. Like our neighbors, we are very apprehensive about the safety and stability of our families. President Trump's policies continue to erode the bedrock of due process, enabling expedited removals and indefinite detentions without proper legal proceedings. We saw this when Columbia University graduate Mahmoud Khalil was targeted and detained by ICE for simply recognizing his right to free speech and his call for peace in Gaza, despite his green card status. Khalil was not charged with the crime, or was in violation of his immigration status in any aspect. Mahmoud is not the only target of this administration. 100 days in, and over 600 students have had their student visas revoked, some in explicit retaliation for activism and many other reasons that are not yet clear. And this is a blatant disregard for free speech and due process. The First Amendment guarantees a right to free speech and peaceful assembly and political dissent, and we've witnessed these fundamental rights are being eroded right before our eyes. But the assault on American freedoms doesn't end there. The SAVE Act is another attack on our democracy, threatening our right to vote by imposing stringent documentation requirements that could disenfranchise millions of eligible voters who cannot likely easily access a passport or a birth certificate to prove their citizenship. More specifically, it would disproportionately impact Muslim communities and other marginalized communities, including naturalized citizens, women, and many others. Michigan's strength has always been rooted in its diversity and resilience. In the face of fear, we must lead with courage. In the face of injustice, we must choose solidarity. Together, we can ensure that our state remains a safe and inclusive, welcoming place for all. Let's not be silent in the face of repression. Let's not grow numb to injustice. This is a defining moment, not just for Muslims, but for every American who believes in freedom, fairness, and the rule of law. We urge our elected officials, community leaders, and neighbors to act with urgency. Speak out, show up, push back. Because when rights of one community are under attack, the rights of all communities are at risk. The time to defend our shared values is now, and the responsibility belongs to each of us. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aisha Wells, and I'm the Deputy Director of Campaigns at Mother and Justice. We're a multi-state organization that advocates for policy change and empowers Black and brown mamas of color to take action on policies that will improve the quality of life for families, not just in Michigan, but across the country. As you've heard from my partners before me, in these first 100 days, working families have been hit with job losses, rising costs, and policies that don't reflect our lived realities. Families are struggling to make ends meet, to access child care, to find affordable child care. I'm talking about our neighbors, our friends, our communities, our allies, our caregivers are all affected. Consider this, 38% of births in Michigan are covered by Medicaid. That's 1 in 3 babies relying on these essential programs. Trump's proposal for federal budget cuts threaten to dismantle this safety net. If these cuts go through, our state will face impossible choices. Either shoulder the financial burden or reduce coverage, leaving countless of families vulnerable, families like mine. President Trump also wants to cut SNAP benefits. That's taking food out of children's mouth. That provides food assistance to 1.3 million Michiganders. This means more hunger, more hardship for everyone, including our children. On top of this, parents are also unable to afford affordable child care costs. So it costs an average of $10,000 a year. Trump's administration proposed cuts to child care subsidies, earned paid sick leave will force parents to make impossible choices between their jobs, their children's well-being. We are urging our legislatures to protect, expand reproductive justice, health care access, affordable quality child care, earned paid sick time, and family leave. We need lawmakers here in Michigan to vote down any state-level implementation cuts to Medicaid and SNAP. Families everywhere deserve a world where basic needs are met and protected. Together, all of us can make this happen. Our Mama's March is happening today. So leave here, go there, okay? Our Mama's March is taking place today, and where mothers, caregivers, allies will join hands and protest after 100 days of this nonsense of policies that have made life so much harder for working families and working people. This movement is rooted in resistance, hope, and real action. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha, and thank you everyone for speaking here today. We're at 101 days at this point. There's been a lot of chaos, there's been a lot of pain, and as you heard today, there's a lot of fear. And the solution to that fear is solidarity, is community. That's why you have folks here representing labor, farmers, mamas, immigrant communities, environmental stewards, the Muslim community, progressive organizations, and a lot of folks that couldn't be here with us here today. Fear sometimes drives people to silence, to inaction, to apathy. And like Aisha said, hope, resistance, those are the tools, those are the values, those are the drivers that are going to get us out of this chaos, of this pain, of this confusion. I've been doing this work for over 10 years, and I've never seen the cross-issue solidarity and organization of people who are meeting this moment head on. So there is a lot of fear, but there's a lot of hope on that horizon too, but it's gonna take all of us to get out of this thing, because every single person, maybe not on day 100 or 101 or 102, but down the line, everyone is going to be impacted. And so it's incumbent on everyone to stand up in whatever way they can and fight for a better future, not just for ourselves or our individual families, but our neighbors, our communities, our state, and our nation. Thank you. We'll open it up for questions from there.